and welcome to the Gloucester Writers Center annual spoken word event, Fish Tales, here at the Schoel Performance Center. My name is Joanne Hart, and I am the newly elected board president of the Gloucester Writers Center. Yay! Lucky me, lucky me. Thank you to the board for everything you do, and thank you to our outgoing president. I don't know if she's here, Heidi Wakeman. Before her, Jay Featherstone, yay, Heidi. Before her, Jay Featherstone was the Writers Center president, and now they are both the co-poet laureates of Gloucester. That's two past presidents. That's not going to be me, so we're not going to hold our breath for that. Poetry goes right over my head. Thank you, Henry Farini. Henry, where are you? Where's Henry? He too is somewhere. Our fearless founder and executive director, and thanks to our wonderful staff, Eric, Ruth, Brandy, and Wilder, to keep us moving forward. A special thanks to the multi-talented Jennifer Brown, I know she's here, who has been the producer of Fish Tales for a number of years, helping to make it the success it has become. A special thanks to Layla Goodman, who helps the storytellers find their footing. Here. We are happy to have the Mass Cultural Council, Neptune's Harvest Organic Fertilizer, the Lobsterland Restaurant, and Cape Ann Savings Bank as our sponsors tonight. Thank you. So this year, we celebrate the Gloucester Writers Center 15th anniversary. Woohoo! 15 years of celebrating Cape Ann's rich literary legacy and helping individuals engage in the writing and telling of stories. We create space and opportunities for people to expand their literary world with lectures, workshops, panels, readings, open mics, literary walks, and many other events, all open to the public and most free or by voluntary donation. We go into the high school and help seniors with their college essays, and we reach out to underserved populations to help them tell their stories. To support all these programs, we rely on grants and individual donors to continue our work, and we keep fundraising like this to a minimum. To celebrate our 15th anniversary and to help keep the Writers Center accessible and affordable to all, we are going to establish an endowment fund to ensure its stability for the next generation of Cape Ann writers. We will kick off the endowment campaign later in the winter with a public program to discuss what constitutes a literary community and how the Writers Center can help make that community stronger. And even though we neglected to mention our wonderful program director, Eric Parkinson, in tonight's playbill, he is planning some great events for 2026. Eric, sorry. Please go to gloucesterwriters.org and sign up to receive email blasts on all that we do. As for tonight, we will have 4 Fish Tales storytellers, followed by our special musical guests, Rhiannon, Kaela, Hurst, and Adria Smith. There will be a short intermission, some more music, and 3 more storytellers. At the end, we will introduce the next storyteller in residence. But right now, I want to introduce our current storytellers in residence who have done such a super job this year. Nikki, Richon, Schoel, and Anne McArdle, welcome to the stage. Together, Nikki and Anne have chosen the themes for each Fish Tales, recruited the storytellers, managed the story refinement process with the help of storyteller workshop leader Layla. They have hosted 3 remarkable sold-out Fish Tales this past year. Against the Tide, Stories of Resistance at Gloucester Stage, Catch and Release for Valentine's Day, which sold out at Gloucester Stage in 3 days, hence the bigger venue, and Almost Famous, which was our first time presenting at the Cut. Tonight they present Misbehaving for our first time here at the Schoel. Welcome to Fish Tales.
Hello, and thank you for being here. And I just have to say, holy mackerel, it's Fish Tales at the Schoel. Can you believe it? It's fabulous. And tonight you're in for a wonderful show as always. The stories are beautiful. The storytellers themselves are loving performing for you. You're going to love them right back. And please have a wonderful time and enjoy yourselves.
Okay, you can no, yeah, okay. So I'm not going to repeat what everybody has said, but I've got to say thank you to everybody who has been a part of this. It's been fabulous. This is really exciting. So let's get on with it. So our first storyteller tonight is Michael McNamara. He is, woohoo! He is a very gifted theater guy. The first time I met Michael, he was playing Gertrude Stein. You looked really cute in that purple skirt. And I've seen him in tons of things since then. His Willie Loman in The Death of a Salesman was unbelievable in Marblehead. And now he's here. But I wanted to say one more important thing, which is that he, aside from being an actor and doing all the stuff he does in theater, he has helped me writing plays and given me some fabulous feedback. So he's got a huge range, he's got a huge heart. And with that, those twinkly eyes and that impish smile, who couldn't have him open the show, Misbehaving, Rockport born and bred, Michael Misbehaving McNamara.
This could be fun. You know, I've always been a bit of a contrarian. I'm taking you back to 1962. I was a sophomore at Rockport High School, and I was taking an entry-level biology course, and there was a new teacher, and he and I did not hit it off. We were at loggerheads almost from the day he arrived. And he also had been appointed the school's athletic director. He coached a number of boys' basketball teams, or sports teams, and he taught 2 academic courses, of which this was one. Now, the big beef with this guy was he was absolutely obsessed with cow's milk. Cow's milk and the calcium needed to build strong bodies in young people. This was his thing. He had raised this almost to a religion in the classroom. Cow's milk this, cow's milk that. He never would allow any contrary information, and there was plenty of it out there. There was a gathering tsunami of information debunking how great this product was at that time. But he just did this, and he would never allow anybody to have to bring in any other information that clashed with his orthodoxies. You know, the guy, you'd have to say he was really a hardhead. Some would even say he was a knucklehead. And there were those that might even say he was a pighead. But not me. Oh, no, I would never say that. So, around this time, the United States and the Soviet Union were involved in a war, a Cold War. And the United States, the Soviet Union, and Great Britain were setting off nuclear devices in the atmosphere. And this was creating a lot of problems in the world. In fact, in the 1961, the year before the story takes place, the Russians set off over 100 such devices. And so the scientists around the world are studying this and are concluding this is really bad for the environment and not exactly that great for the food chain. It produced a byproduct called strontium-90. I don't know if any of you remember that. But strontium-90 was a product that did not occur naturally in nature. It only came about as a result of nuclear fallout. It would be incorporated readily into the teeth and bones. It caused bone cancer, bone marrow cancer, cancer of the soft tissues around the bone. The devices would go off, the radioactivity would fall to the earth. It would be deposited on the earth. The cows would ingest it, and then through a calcium-like transfer, it would go from the cow's stomach to the milk. So all of a sudden, this wonderful product, milk, which was so great, and we all loved it so much, was being contaminated with this strontium-90, this radioactivity. And it was all over the news, no matter where you went. If you looked in the broadcast media, the print media, it was every place. It was every place except in that room where this teacher had an iron curtain of ignorance over the whole enterprise. So then, sometime later, one of the things that he absolutely loved to do was pass and hand out these flyers, these handbills. And one of these handbills is, I'll never forget it. It had a glass of milk in the middle of the page, and it would have a little gold rim on the top of the milk. It kind of looked like a halo. And the milk would be bubbling up and joining, commingling with these little stars at the top. And it would say at the bottom, it said at the bottom, 8 ounces of milk. And over here you'd have 50-pound bag of potatoes saying, it takes 50 pounds of potatoes to equal the calcium in 1 8-ounce glass of milk. And all the way around, broccoli, kale, whatever. So I'm examining these documents, and there were all kinds of different iterations. He'd pass a dozen out at a time. And I'm looking at the bottom of the page, and there it is. Advertisement of the American Dairy Association. So I raised my hand, and unthinking, he called on me. And I shared my discovery with him in the class. Well, he didn't take too kindly to that. And he asked the class, he said, a show of hands, please, for all who think McNamara is crazy. Well, he tried to humiliate me and silence me. I brewed about it. I stewed about it. It gnawed away at me. And then, a few weeks later, he announced that each student was going to be responsible for an end-of-the-semester project. And it had to be something related to the curriculum, and it would be whatever you chose to do. And when I heard that, my ears perked right up. And I asked him specifically, no limits, no parameters? He said, whatever you choose, as long as it relates to the curriculum. So I knew what I had to do. I ran home. I marshaled my forces. I gathered all the material. I made a really strong case, and I was ready to go. So that fateful day arrived. Let's say this is his desk. I'm sitting back there, the last desk in the room, of course, a backbencher always. And he gives me the finger, this finger, as in, your turn. So I make my way to the front of the room, and he makes his way to my desk, where he sits in my desk. I get to the front of the room, I open up my folders, and I announce the title of my project. The Dangers of Cow's Milk to Human Health. So I'm looking at him. I'm staring at him. And I can see a look of befuddlement on his face. Then a look of discovery. Then a look of consternation. Then he jumps up and says, shut up and sit down. Then I did something totally atypical of me and so out of character. I kept on talking. And he makes his way down the aisle, and I'm here, and I suddenly move away because I can see that he's really outraged. In fact, you've heard the expression beet red. He is so red. He looks like he's going to spontaneously combust. And so he follows me. He keeps saying, shut up and sit down. I make my way over to this aisle here. And then suddenly he breaks into a dead run. I run all the way down the aisle. I run out the door, through the hallways to the staircase, where I jump from one flight of stairs to the landing halfway down. Then I do the same thing going down. I'm bounding and leaping through the halls to get away from him. I run past the office. I run out the front doors, and I run down the street, so 75 or 100 yards, to the front door of this coffee shop. I open up the door, and just as I open it up, he reaches in with those raptor-like claws of his and grabs me by the shoulder. There are people in there, and the woman behind the counter says, "What's going on here?" He immediately releases me. Whew. And suddenly, my shoulder, and I had this terrifying thought. What if those raptor-like hands and the bones in those raptor-like hands were enriched with calcium from cow's milk? And then I really had a horrifying thought. What if it was strontium-90? Well, in a few minutes, I had collected myself. And I knew what I had to do. And I marched right around the corner to where the public telephone booth was. And I dropped a dime and called my mommy.
So next, we have Anne Molloy. She also is a native of Cape Ann, born and bred in Gloucester. She taught me a word. I'm a words person. And you don't even know this, Anne, you taught me the word gurry. You know what that means? Isn't it awful? Sorry. Anyway, so she's a Gloucester girl, but she's a woman of the world. And most important, she's a steward of the planet. So let's give a big hand for Anne Molloy.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here on this beautiful stage. Thank you for letting me audition for Berklee School of Music. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down. I'm only kidding, I'm not here for that. I'm here because I'm a famous opera singer. I'm gonna sing for you. Nah, sorry, misbehaving already. Normally I don't drink when I have to do public speaking, but misbehaving. I didn't know, I'm like, what made him think of me for this theme? But yeah, I guess I have lots of options. So many options, smoptions, if you will. Better than having no options, though. Noptions. The hard part was not finding a story to tell. The hard part was finding one that I was willing to share with all of you. I think this one's good. It's got drinking. It's got smoking. It's got skinny dipping, and it's got streaking. And the reason I thought to tell this story is because I have a friend, I left a message the next morning on my friend's answering machine, and she saved that message for years. She says, I took that tape out of my tape recorder. I wouldn't tape over it. Every time I was having a bad day, needed a good laugh, I just put that tape in and listened to it. So I'm like, all right, this should be good. So it started like most good misbehaving stories do, with a lot of alcohol. A lot of drinking. We were at the Rum Line, which is, got great music all the time. So it was a hot summer night. We were dancing, me and my friend Gina. We were going to go with that to protect the innocent. And we danced hard. We were partying, drinking, and as we often do, we closed the place. And we were so hot, we're like, let's go swimming. So we drive in her convertible common Ghia over to Good Harbor Beach, and we park illegally, misbehaving, by the footbridge, and we walk down, and we don't have bathing suits or towels, so we're like, let's keep going down about halfway where it's all dark and private. It was late, like 1 a.m, and we were getting ready to go in the water, but we said, let's sit down and smoke a joint. So we were getting all prepared and, ready to do our big swim. So we're like, all right. We took off all our clothes, we put them in a pile, and we're like, we got to go out, and then we got to come in straight. So we find the clothes, right? You can see where this is going. So we go out, and it's like half tide. So it took a while to get out deep enough till we were like waist deep. And let me remind you, this was a long time ago. I was a lot younger, a lot thinner, in case anyone's visualizing this. So we get out, and we finally get up to waist deep, and we're swimming around, and we're out there having a good time. And all of a sudden, Gina. Sorry. Gina says, "Are there sharks out here?" I'm like, "I don't think there's sharks out here. No, there's not sharks out here." And I'm thinking, could there be sharks out here? And then I feel something rub against my leg. I'm like, ah! I got that in my head now, so I'm scared. So we start running in, totally forgetting our straight line. When we get in, we're like, where's our clothes? Oh, no. So this is where the streaking part of the story comes in. We're running up and down the beach, and we're looking for the clothes. Now I'm like, I think the tide is coming in. What if they get washed out? Like, we have no keys, we have no clothes, we're in East Gloucester, how are we gonna get out of here? So the urgency sets in, and we're really running up and down the beach now. Finally, we see him. I'm like, yes. So you ever try to put on clothes when you're soaking wet? It's not easy. So I grab my underwear, and I'm trying to put them on. I don't want to sit down because I'm going to get sand all in my butt, right? So finally, I'm like, I'm not having any luck. And Judy's like, where's my shirt? Gina. Oh, shit. So Gina's like, where's my shirt? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, what are you putting on? I'm like, my underwear. She's like, your underwear's right here. So she had like a white t-shirt tank top thing, easy mistake. So finally we get everything on, we go home, and the next morning I woke up, and this is the message I left on my friend's answering machine. I just woke up. My head's killing me. My mouth is so dry. I woke up, nothing on, in my bed full of sand, and I found my underwear in my shorts pocket. It must have been a good night.
Thank you, Anne. Are we having fun yet? Next up is Jennifer Lee Levitz. Jennifer is not a Cape Ann native, but she's been here since the 70s, so come on, it's got to be good enough, right? So you've probably seen her in theaters around, and in the local TV, the 1623 studio. I've really enjoyed the time I've had with Jennifer working on this show, and I have learned a lot about her and learned that she has a history of misbehaving. So, she also has really good hair. So let's welcome Jennifer Lee Levitz.
Wow, I haven't been up on one of these for a little while. Here's the story. It was a dark and stormy night. Wait a minute, that's not right. It was a balmy late spring, maybe 2 or 3 in the morning, And there I was, parked at the end of a lazy country lane down by the banks of the Hudson. And I was sitting in the driver's seat of a bright red Cadillac convertible with the top down, me, little Jenny Lee from the Boston suburbs, 18-year-old college freshman. And there next to me was Mr. Tall, dark, and handsome. We'd been drinking all night down the road at Adolph's, and when it came closing time, he offered me a ride back to my dorm, and then flipped me the car keys and said, "You drive, kid." He'd been drinking all day. So there we were, halfway back to my dorm, and he said, "You want to go out to the island?" And I said, "Sure." And, well, there we were, at the end of the lane, parked next to the river, only we weren't exactly parked. I had a little trouble getting the car out to the island. It hit something and just stopped. We were stalled, but we weren't exactly just stalled. We were stalled on the railroad tracks. And there I was, frantically trying to get the car started. I turned off the headlights and I turned off the radio because I wanted to preserve the battery. And I was very careful with the gas pedal so I wouldn't flood the engine. I mean, I knew what I was doing. I'd had my license for more than 2.5 years. And there was this voice that kept going through my head. "Well, that's what you get for going down to some notorious lover's lane with a barfly townie twice your age." And then I realized I wasn't in my head. I was yelling out loud. So I turned to look at John, and he was grinning at me with this crooked little grin, and he said, "Hey, kid, I hope you got that car started, because I think there's a train coming." And oh my God, I didn't know whether to shit or go blind. Should I jump out and try pushing the car, or maybe we should just jump out of the car? I want to tell you that running from a train is a very fast way to sober up. It wasn't 20 yards before I realized, oh my God, I should have left the headlights on. Maybe the train would see us in time and stop. So John turned around and ran back to the train, and he turned on the lights, and wasn't in time. We didn't watch. John had his back to the train tracks, and I had my head buried in his chest with my hands over my ears. Didn't help, because it just went on and on and on, the screeching and crying of the metal and the brakes and in the silence that followed, I piped up, "Well, we better go tell those people that we're all right, because they're probably out there looking for dead bodies." And he said, "No, I'm going to get you the hell out of here." Everything that happened next was pretty much of a blur. I don't know how he did it. I do remember at one point I was flying through the air. He had picked me up and thrown me off the road, and I landed in a ditch, and he jumped in on top of me, and we just laid there and watched this string of cars winding down the road, and there on each one of them was a different color bubble light. We finally made it out to a paved road, and he pointed me in the right direction and then turned around and walked the other way. I got back into the dorm, crawled into bed, passed out. I want to remind people that this was decades before the internet, before cell phones. We didn't even have a television in the dorm. Later that day, when I finally came to, I turned on the radio, and there, they were talking about all the charges that had been brought against John, with his name, address, age, occupation. For the next few days, I kind of skulked around campus, waiting for some kind of official to come and clap handcuffs on me and drag me off to some station for questioning. Dun, 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 dun. It was a few more days before I got up the courage to hitch a ride down the road. I walked into Adolph's, and there he was. John was sitting at the bar, free as a bird. Well, I walked over and pulled up a stool. He bought me a drink, and we talked for a couple of hours. And he told me the rest of the story. And he gave me a Polaroid snapshot of the poor mangled caddy. Later, I walked home, back to the dorm, and on the way, I was thinking about my relationship with John and how much our friendship was adding to my college education. I had a practicum in how not to judge a book by its cover. And then there was the course with the chapter, what happens when someone gets you into a lot of trouble and then turns around and gets you right back out? And I patted my pocket where I had the little Polaroid. And I thought of another course. This one was more like physics. And there was a problem. You know those problems they used to give you? When a freight train leaves the station going X miles an hour and leaves at Y o'clock, how long will it have to sit in the middle of nowhere because some self-centered, misbehaving teenager has stalled a car on the tracks? And then she forgot that if she wanted to get the car started again, she was supposed to put it into park.
Many of you are familiar with our next storyteller. She is the author and producer of an award-winning solo show called Too Fat for China. If you haven't seen it, you absolutely have to see it. It's just, I've seen it twice, I think, and you know, you notice that you're going from laughing so hard to sort of crying. I mean, it just is everything. It's a beautiful thing, so don't miss it when it comes back around. Phoebe lives in Gloucester with her family. Please welcome Phoebe Potts.
I can tell you exactly the moment when my childhood came to an end. I was sitting in my parents' house on the floor. I had a long brown ponytail. I'm sitting in a square of sunshine, and I'm wearing overalls that are brown and fuzzy and 4 sizes too big for me. I'm wearing the really large overalls because I'm trying to shield my amygdala from some incoming news. My amygdala is the landlord that lives in a garden apartment in my cerebral cortex and is in charge of being afraid. I'm shielding the amygdala from the information that we are moving from a child-sized body into a woman-sized body. I'm looking at a National Geographic magazine. National Geographic magazine has that golden border, that's its logo. It arrives, this big slab of color and text every morning, every month with a self-confident thud at the doorstep. And I can imagine the guys who publish it, these men sitting in giant wingback chairs with a large crackling fire behind them. They've got one of those globes that looks like it was soaked in tea. And they have their pipes, and they're saying, "My dear, we have conquered and colonized and codified and categorized the entire known world and beyond. And it's far too much for you to understand. And so every month we will just send you a slice." And that was fine with me. I like this magazine. And I opened to a page where there's a photograph of a seal on a beach with his back to a large wave that's going to crash. And it's sitting in the sunshine, and its mouth is slightly open. I've only recently learned what they sound like, and they sound like overtired philosophy students. They go, "How? How? Why? Why? How?" I like this picture. I like this picture. I am the seal. The seal is me. We're both down on the ground in the sunshine. We're both wearing large brown suits that we haven't grown into yet. And then my amygdala jumps off the couch and runs to the window and starts banging on the bars. "Danger, danger, danger, danger!" Because in the wave that's about to crash on the seal, just inches from its little brown head, looming there is an enormous and sinister smile with sharp, sharp teeth. And behind the smile is 4 metric tons of killer whale. And I gasp, and just as I gasp, my personal predator ambushes me from behind. It's my older brother, and he grabs my ponytail, and he yanks it back, and I let out a, "Why?" My older brother is stronger. He's so much funnier. He's really smart. He's so mean. And while we're at it, he's also much better looking. So whenever he's around, I go into a reverie. And he looks at the picture and he goes, "You know, orcas are psychos." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "They don't just kill their food and eat it. They make it suffer first. They torture it. They play with them. They're evil." And that settles that for me. I am a seal. The world is either evil predators or vulnerable and adorable prey. I know what side I'm on. I'm obedient. I'm obedient, and I just stay in line. It clicks in so hard that this fear, this sense of looming danger, that I stay obedient for decades. I stay afraid for decades. I'm afraid right now. I'm afraid of, and the thing is that there are real dangers. There are real dangers in our world. There are actual things to be afraid of. There are people being dragged by the hair right now by people that we are paying to do this and dragging them away from their families. And I'm afraid. Do you know what I wish? I wish that the photo editor hadn't cropped the picture so closely, because I do think I would have been able to understand the greater view of life's pageant, of all the information, because had the photo editor not cropped that picture so tightly, I would have seen the entire beach. and I would have seen that there are thousands of seals on that beach. And I would have learned that seals aren't exactly vegan. That seals would have just decimated whole lineages of herring just moments before. I would have seen that in the wave, there were not one evil, sinister orca, but 7 of them. And they're there because the wave is their classroom. They are learning how to go get their dinner. And they're not very good at it. In fact, they fail most of the time. And when they finally lurch through, because they have to do it, they don't have any hands, so they have to jump out of the way, and then they have to wiggle back into the water. It's hard. And so when they do finally get a seal, yeah, it's cause for celebration. They might have to toss it around to each other a little bit. But the orca that is teaching them how to do this is their grandmother. And their grandmother, by the way, is menopausal. And she is of the only other species on Earth besides human beings who get to be menopausal. And I would have learned that she's a matriarch, and she sticks around. She lives much longer than her fertility demands because she's going to teach everybody what to do. And she's not alone. There's lots of these orcas doing this. And I would have learned that orcas are actually really creative and funny. Like, who can forget the great, hey, you guys, let's wear dead salmon as hats fad of 1987? And I might have learned, well, I'm going to share this with you now, a different story than the one that was packaged for me by the great minds of the time. Right now, while we're sitting here in this hall listening to these stories, right now, there are grandmother menopausal orcas teaching other orcas how to precisely take out the navigation systems of the yachts that belong to billionaires. Yes, I'm afraid, but I don't need to be so afraid because yes, I am a seal, but there's a lot of seals. And yes, I think I am an orca. And there's a fair amount of orcas. And these are my comrades. And I talk to them. And they ask me to invite you to join them too.
Now please welcome our musical guests, Rhiannon Hurst and Adria Smith.
To talk with all by myself, no one to walk with, but I'm happy on the shelf. Hey, misbehaving, saving my love for you, for you, for you, for you. I know for certain the one I love. I'm through with flirting, it's you that I'm thinking of. Hey, misbehaving, saving my love for you. Like Jack Horner in the corner, don't go nowhere. What do I care? Your kisses are worth waiting for. Believe me, I don't stay out late, got no place to go. I'm home about 8, just me and my radio. Hey, misbehaving, saving all my love for you. to talk with, all by myself. No one to walk with, but I'm happy on that shelf. Ain't misbehaving, saving all my love for you, for you, for you, for you. I know for certain the one I love, I'm through with flirting, it's you that I'm thinking of. Ain't misbehaving, saving all my love for you. Like Jack Horner in the corner, don't go nowhere, what do I care? Your kisses are worth waiting for, believe me. I don't stay out late, got no place to go. I'm home about 8, just me and my radio. Ain't misbehaving, saving all my love for you. Oh. Ain't misbehaving, saving all my love for you. Adria Smith on piano. Alrighty, hello. Thank you so much for having us here this evening. My name is Rhiannon Hurst. On piano, we have Adria Smith. Yeah. That very first tune, of course, well known and fits the theme rather well. Ain't Misbehavin'. This next tune is called Charade. We're going to be doing it in the style of Sarah Vaughan, with a little bit of a sneaking a bossa nova in there too. We ask that you follow along with the storyline. It kind of tells a story of a misbehaving heart or a love that might have misbehaved and didn't work out in the same way that you might have thought it would. So this is Charade. When we played our charade, we were like children posing, playing at games, acting out names, guessing the parts we played. Oh, what a hit we made. We came on next to closing, best on the bill, lovers until love left the masquerade. Fate seemed to pull the strings. I turned and you were gone, while from the darkened wings the music box played on. Sad little serenade, song of my heart's composing. I hear it still, I always will, best on that bill charade. played our charade. We were like children posing, playing at games, acting out names, guessing the parts we played. Now, oh, what a hit we made. Now we came on next to closing, best on the bill, lovers until love left that masquerade. Fate seemed to pull the strings, I turned and you were gone. Now while from the darkened wings the music box played on, sad little serenade, those songs of my heart's composing. I hear it still, I always will, best on that bill charade. When we played our charade, now we were like children posing, playing at games, acting out names, guessing the parts we played. Now, oh, what a hit we made. Yes, now we came on next to closing, best on the bill. Now lovers until love left the masquerade. Fate seemed to pull the strings, I turned and you were gone. Now all from the darkened wings the music box played on. Sad little serenade, song of my heart's composing. I hear it still, I always will, best on that bill charade. Thank you.
Okay, up next we have a beautiful song by Cassandra Wilson. We'd like this to function as a continued welcoming of you to this space, a welcoming to this musical space now, as well as a storytelling one. This is Broken Drum.
Nobody knows where the shadows go into the night. Soft as a whisper, I think they climb to the sky. When the evening comes and the moon is on the wane, they laugh at the people who believe that the moon will never rise again. Shadow people know that the darkest hour is yet to come, and you can hear them singing and saying that even a broken drum can save the moon. Even a broken drum can save the moon. water's edge and drink the stars falling from heaven to the drummer's call. When your belly's full of the shimmering stream that feeds the land, we'll dance to the rhythm of a drummer till the moon rises again. Shadow people know that the darkest hour is yet to come, and you can hear them singing and saying that even a broken drum can save the moon. Even a broken drum can save the moon.
Welcome back. So, to re-engage your minds, your voices, your being, we're going to ask for some audience participation on this next tune. We've got a song that we're doing in the style of Nina Simone titled Rags and Old Iron. Fear not, it is a very simple line and it just repeats over and over, and Adria will play it with you. I'm going to have you just keep singing it until I cue you to stop. But you're going to keep singing it, and I'm going to sing over you. It's going to be very fun, super easy, I promise. It goes like this.
Lay on that down, lay on that down, lay on that down, lay on that down.
Yeah, keep singing it.
Lay on that down, lay on that down.
Yeah, lay on that down. Even more, you've got it.
Lay on that down.
Yeah, that's it.
Lay on that down.
Yeah,
Lay on that down.
now keep singing it.
Lay on that down.
Keep going till I cue otherwise. Rags, old iron. Rags, old iron. Rags, old iron. Rags, old iron. Now all he was finding was just rags and old iron. Give yourselves a hand. That was wonderful. Woo!
I heard that old rag man now making his rounds. He came right to my alley, Lord, with sorrowful sounds, crying rags, old iron, and pulling his card. Ask him how much he'd give me for my broken heart. Rags, old iron, rags, old iron. All he was buying was just rags and old iron. So I asked that old rag man how much he would pay for a heart that was broken, baby, when you went away. For a burnout old love light that'll no longer beam, and a couple of slightly used second-hand dream. Rags, old iron, rags, old iron. All he was buying was just rags and old iron. Whatever he'd offer, I'd happily take, for those big empty promises you used to make, for those memories of you that'll no longer sweet. I wish he could haul them off down that street. Rags, old iron, rags. buying was just rags and old iron. Rags, old iron. Rags, old iron. Rags, old iron. When love doesn't last, tell me how much is it worth? It was once my most precious possession on earth. When I asked that old rag man if he'd like to buy, he just shook his head and continued to cry. Rags, old iron. Rags, old iron. All he was buying was just rags and old iron. All he was buying was just rags and old iron. Adria Smith on piano, everyone. Give yourselves a hand. That was wonderful.
All right, and we're going to close out with a very fun, very well-known jazz standard, On the Sunny Side of the Street. We're going to ask you to mentally direct your feet that way, in spite of all of the things happening in the world right now. One, two, three, four.
Grab your coat and snatch your hat. Leave your worries on that doorstep. Just direct your feet to that sunny side of the street. Can't you hear that pitter-pat? And that upbeat tune is your step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny side of the street. I used to walk in the shade with my blues, well, they were on parade. I'm not afraid. This or over, crossed over. If I never had a cent, I would be rich as Rockefeller. Gold dust around my feet on that sunny side of the street. Way up, Buddha, way up, Buddha. Bay open, bo, bay open, bo, bay open, the bay. Grab your coat, snatch your hat, leave your worries on the doorstep. Just direct your feet to that sunny side of the street. Can't you hear that pitter paying? And that happy tune is your step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny side of the street. I used to walk in the shade with my blues, well, they were on parade. I'm not afraid. This rover, he crossed over. If I never had a cent, I would be rich as Rockefeller. Oh, gold dust round my feet on that sunny, on that shady, on that sunny, on that shady, on that sunny side of the street.
Thank you so much for having us here this evening.
So the time has come where we pass the hook. And before we do so, I want to thank a few people. I want to thank the close to 30 people who shared their stories with us. It's just been a wonderful experience working with people, holding their stories, coaching them through it with the help of Layla Goodman, of course. And I find that, learning more about people's stories and how they interface with my own stories, because we have so many shared life experiences. And I realized that, our stories begin before we're even born. And they live longer than we do. They live on after we're gone. And so I'd like to thank the people who shared their stories. I'd like to thank the Gloucester Writers Center for giving me the opportunity, because I really loved it. And I also would like to thank my partner in crime, the very funny and talented Anne McArdle.
Well, and I would like to thank Nikki. We've had a lot of fun this year doing these programs, and yes, thank you to the storytellers and to the people who volunteer so much time to work with us, and the Writers Center, and Henry Farini. I think you're up there, Henry.
Jennifer Brown.
And I wasn't going to go through all the names again, but Jennifer Brown, Layla Goodman, the work that these people do is amazing. So we're just really grateful. And now for the passing of the hook. So if you haven't been lucky enough to see this ceremony in years past, when Nikki and I, because we're done with our tenure now, we're going to pass the hook.
It's really a gaffe, you'll see. And also,
It's okay, I got you.
I just have to say quickly that when we got the hook, I was, holding it down here, and I forgot, that it went all the way over there, and Anne's standing, smiling at everybody, and I almost took her eye out for our very first show.
So that's why I'm holding it this time.
Because you're the better hooker. She's the better hooker.
Gordon, I told you to be quiet. All right. Okay, so now we have to get serious, because this is serious. We are passing the hook to the next storyteller in residence, Kevin Perrin. And let me tell you a little bit about Kevin. He has been a storyteller twice now. And if you saw his performances, you won't forget them. They're amazing. And in his second story, he talked about something that made us understand that he's also a really good administrator. So we thought, hey, how about Kevin Perrin? Come on up, Kevin, and get the hook. There you go.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I just want to say real quick that the Gloucester Writers Center is involved in so many great things with such creative energy that I'd be happy to be any part of it, but to be a part of Fishtails especially is awesome, and I hope to see you all next year.
So if any of you out here are thinking, wow, it looks like a lot of fun to get up there and tell a story, go see Kevin before you leave. Give him your name and number. Okay, so next up, back to the storytellers. But wait a minute, can I just say, how about those musicians? Were they amazing? They were amazing. I was going to bring my ukulele and play Misbehaving, but okay, so now, next storyteller, Stuart Siegel. So Stuart is relatively new to Cape Ann, but you'd never know it. He kind of knows everybody already, and he's made a mark in a bunch of iconic Cape Ann institutions. So he's told, this is his second storytelling gig with Fishtails. And in the process of prepping for this and meeting with the group and everything, he mentioned that he also, back when it was probably cool, had red hair with a white forelock. So let's give a big round of applause for Stuart Siegel.
I think I asked Anne if she was trying to look like David Bowie in The Man Who Fell to Earth, which was my thing. So, the week that I graduated from Boston University, I got a phone call that would change everything. Jason Rogers was a kid I knew from high school. He was a couple years younger than me, so when I left South Florida to come up here, I sort of lost touch. The thing about Jason, he was a nice guy. Nice. Not cynical or a smartass like me and most of the people I knew, just nice. He was interesting and adventurous and creative. He wasn't boring, but he was a nice guy, okay? Me, on the other hand, college was my peak asshole era. I checked with the Shaylin Lou staff, and I am allowed to use that word in this room, only tonight. I went to film school, so of course I was, right? I didn't watch movies, I watched films, or I went to foreign cinema. I only listened to the finest curated bands. I didn't go to beer-chugging parties. My friends and I sat around, consumed psychedelics, and pondered the secrets of the universe. I looked down on people who were different from me. Business majors, sports fans, people who were normal. Jason Rogers had a lot of friends that were normal. So when he called me on that day in June, "Hey, Stu, congratulations on graduating from college." I was happy to hear from him, but I wondered, what does he want from me? Doesn't he know I'm in the big city with my edgy friends? Do you remember my friend Adam, Alicia's brother? No. Well, his mom's got a condo in the Keys, and him and a bunch of guys are going down there next week, and I thought you'd like to come. Jay, I would love to hang out with you, but I don't want to spend my first week out of college with a bunch of high school kids. Come on, Stu, his uncle's got a boat. It's a free condo. I've got some acid. That caught my attention. And Nick Mazzoli's coming. Oh, Nick Mazzoli. This guy was a character. Nick Mazzoli was a 1990s Italian-American, self-styled Jim Morrison sort of poet dude in silky clothes. His grandmother owned a Hawaiian shirt factory in Miami. He liked to show off his stingray skin wallet and let you know it was stingray skin. He set his watch 4 hours and 37 minutes off so that he wouldn't be limited by the human construct of time. And he could cook like an Italian nonna, so I never thought of being friends with him, but he was great to hang out with, a lot of fun. So I figured with all these factors, I'm going to go to the Keys. And guess what? It was a blast. We rode around on the boat. We jumped off of bridges. We laid around on the beach. We drank a little. We smoked a little. We swam in the resort pool. It was great. One night, we took some acid. My son's in the room. We explained this to him previously. He's 9. For the rest of you, if you're uninitiated, doing LSD is sort of like putting on fifth-dimensional glasses. Colors are very vibrant. Sounds reverberate and come from you don't know where, and objects appear and vanish and twist and whirl and melt, and everything is very, very connected and profound. Around 2 a.m., Nick and I got restless, so we left the condo and went on a little wander and found ourselves hopping the fence to the pool area at the resort. Next to the main pool was a small pool where a research institute kept some dolphins. Not orca, but dolphins. During the day, you could pay and swim with them. At night, nobody was watching. The night was balmy, South Florida evening, gentle breeze. The silence was reverberating into our ears. Nick and I looked at each other, and our chemically enhanced minds spoke wordlessly. This is what we have to do. We've got to connect. They're waiting for us. We know what's going to happen. And without a word, we stepped into the pool. Maybe we should be nude, Nick said, out of respect. So we step out of the pool, we take off our clothes, we get back in. We go in deeper, up to our waists. I think I hear something, so I put my ear to the surface. Nick, they know we're here. They know that we're tapped into the cosmic consciousness and they're ready to meet us. This was good. This was very good. We go in a little deeper and we can feel motion. Do you feel that? Nick says. And the water kind of moves and we feel it pushing against our legs. Take a breath. Walk a little deeper and I feel one swimming by me and brushing my leg. I reach down to touch its back as it goes past me. And I know that the moment is coming when we are going to connect. Transcend language, transcend species, mind to mind, soul to soul. I brace myself, and a beam of light splits the night. I turn to look at it. Is this God revealing God's self to us? And the beam of light lowers, and I find myself staring into 2 round, black, sensible work boots. A security guard is standing over us, jangling her keys with night shift authority. Evacuate the pool immediately! Nick and I look at each other. We're about to do this thing. And then we jump out of the pool, we pick up our clothes, and we scramble over to her, guilty, dripping, bare-assed, and tripping. And we look at her. What the hell do you think you're doing in there? You could infect them. You could give them a bacterial infection or herpes. Just leave the premises immediately. We don't need to be reminded again. We thought we were getting arrested. We run like hell. I look back over my shoulder just in time to see the security guard melt into the pool deck. Maybe. We run all the way home, the warm wind tickling our bodies, exhilaration thrumming through our minds. Okay. Can I come clean with you guys? So all the dolphin stuff was a red herring. Thank you. I didn't have to say bait and switch because she got the red herring. Bait and switch? Okay, great crowd. Because it wasn't the dolphins that really made the difference. It was going on the trip altogether. 30 years ago this happened. I went on this trip to the Keys with Jason Rogers and Nick Mazzoli. 18 years ago, I was one of the first people to get a photograph of Jason's daughter, Daphne, the day she was born. 10 years ago, both Jason and Nick had special roles in Emily and My Wedding in Arizona. 6 weeks ago, when I suddenly got a call from these nuts saying, "You have 6 weeks to figure out something that you did that was involved misbehaving," they were the guys I called. So that night, in the Keys, on LSD, breaking into the pool, I did not commune with dolphins. I did not soar across the galaxy with a pod of cosmic beings, but I did hook up with a tribe of guys with whom I've had many adventures over the past 3 decades, who I love dearly and who still love me, even though I'm still usually pretty much an asshole.
Nancy Carolyn Kwant is a medical interpreter and can communicate in a million different ways. She's inspired, she's inspirational, she lives in the magical village of Lanesville with her daughter, Gabriella. Please welcome Nancy Carolyn Kwant.
She was a bit psycho. And she could definitely be a real bitch. And she came from a level of hell that I don't even think hell was aware they had. She was a former housemate. Let's call her Betty. Betty didn't behave badly in big, obvious ways. She was more like a precision sniper who could administer 100 tiny paper cuts. Betty would set alarms that would go off during the day at random times when I was home and she wasn't. Betty would wake me up at 1 a.m, talking on the phone, on speaker, to her overseas boyfriend in a foreign language. And let's just say, I don't think the topic was the weather. Sometimes I would go away for the weekend, and when I came back, it was evident that someone had slept in my bed. I would open up my closet, and all my clothes had been torn off the hangers and thrown on the floor. It would be my time of the month, and I'd go into our shared bathroom looking for a pad, and all of my period products had mysteriously been depleted. She would come into the kitchen and knock stuff off the kitchen table, and when I would say something, she would say, "It was just an accident, but maybe you shouldn't leave your things so close to the edge." My mom would send care packages with cookies, and the next day, they disappeared. And again, I would confront her, and she would say, "I would have thought you would want to share what your mom sent with everyone. But if you want to keep it all to yourself." People started to ask me if the guy I was dating at the time, let's call him Dick, they started to ask me if he was dating her or if he was dating me. And I was like, no, they're just friends. But it did start to dawn on me that they spent an awful lot of time together without me. Now, I never had 100% proof that anything had happened between them, but eventually I dumped that boyfriend. Problem is, it's a lot harder to dump a housemate. I would start to escape to my other housemate's room just to avoid her, or I'd hide in the bathroom until I knew she was asleep. If she was in a room and I came in, she would stand up and in a huff march out. Or if I was already in the room and she came in, she would look at me with what could only be described as some kind of disgust. And she would roll her eyes and sigh dramatically, and whirl around and stomp out. Would call my mom on the phone in tears because all of this crazy making was really starting to wear on my emotional well-being. And then came the last mental straw. A friend had given me a gift with my favorite bubble gum, and it was one of those packs with like a bunch of little packs inside. And sure enough, the gum goes missing. So I say, Betty, did you take my gum? And she said, that was an awful lot of gum. You certainly weren't going to chew that all by yourself. And I was like, Betty, I am happy to share my gum, but don't you think you could have had the courtesy to ask me first? She gives me this cold, hard stare, and she says, yeah, maybe. Seriously? Yeah, maybe? The next morning, I got up, and I'm putting on my robe, and I'm putting on my slippers, and I'm rubbing my eyes, and I go to run my hand through my hair. And it gets stuck. And I look in the mirror, and there is a wad of chewed gum in my hair. I lost it. I cracked. I mean, can you blame me? I marched down to my other housemate's room, and I swung the door open, and pointing to the tangle of gum in my hair, barely keeping it together, I said, something needs to be done. Now, my housemates had witnessed Betty's behavior targeted just at me, and they were immediately in. What do you want to do? Do you want to spread a rumor? Do you want to put something in her food? I was like, well, I don't really want to spread false stories, but put something in her food. How about serum of ipecac? I was like, serum of ipecac? I'm not even that harsh. Not to mention puke everywhere, be a bit messy. And then my friend, let's call her Sally, suggested X-Lax. And in unison, we all start to shake our heads. Yeah, X-Lax. And I said, and in her peanut butter. Because if there is one thing in this world that Betty loved, it was her peanut butter. So we go out, we buy our supplies, we wait for a night when we know Betty is out. We have a friend keep watch at the door, while the rest of us are grinding X-Lax with plastic spoons. We complete our operation, we put the tub of Skippy back on the shelf, and we wait. About a week later, the X-Lax crushing gang and I are sitting at the kitchen table, and Betty is in the other room, on the phone, on speaker, to my ex-boyfriend. And we overheard him ask, well, do you think you caught a stomach bug, or maybe it's something you ate? And Betty, sounding a little green, says, yeah, maybe. I rose slowly from the table, and I leaned in, and I said, yeah, maybe.
Our final storyteller is Don White, who hails from the city of Lynn and is an award-winning singer-songwriter, comedian, author, and storyteller. He's a deadhead who spent 3 years traveling across the country hitchhiking. He's the author of the autobiography, Memoirs of a Sea Student. Don will be performing at the Cape Ann Community Cinema here in Rockport on November 28th, so go see him. And please welcome Don White.
Let's have a big thank you for everybody who's performed here tonight already. All right. In the year 1989, I was on my way from Lynn to a wedding in Nahant with my wife, and I asked my wife, do you know anything about the groom? And she said, the only thing I know about the groom is that he was barred for life from Frank's Corner Bar in Lynn, Massachusetts. And I stopped the car, and I stared at the ocean, because that was the most astounding sentence I had ever heard. I quit drinking in 1990, so in 1989, I was at the peak of my powers. I was among the elites. I was going for a PhD in bad behavior. And Frank's was the wildest place that I knew of in Lynn, wildest and most lawless. So I hung around there a lot. And I just sat there looking at the ocean thinking about all the things I had seen in that building. And I thought I was cross-referencing the most insane with the most felonious, with the most violent, with the most obscene. And eventually I just blurted out, what would you have to do to get barred from Frank's? There were bullet holes in the wall. The guy that shot the bullet holes in the wall, he didn't get barred. He was sitting right there. So I just tried to picture in my mind, what would this guy look like? I pictured like horns and fangs with blood dripping off him, and I just had to see him. I had to see this human being who did the impossible. So we go to the wedding, it's in Nahant, and we go to the reception. It's in a yacht club. The bride's name was Donna. She had two sisters, Dolores and Deborah, and all three of them were so stunningly beautiful. They looked like they walked out of a magazine. And Donna and Dolores were healthy, but Deborah was not. She had MS from when she was a little kid and was confined to a wheelchair since she was a little girl. She also had neurological problems. So there she was at the edge of the dance floor in this yacht club in a purple dress. The muscles that in her neck had given up the fight to hold her head up, so her head was kind of tilted, and her mouth was open, and her eyes were watery, and she was just looking around the room. And I knew quite a bit about the family, and I was thinking about her, and I knew that even though her body had abandoned her, her mind had not. She saw and understood everything, even though she couldn't really talk. And she saw her gorgeous sisters mark every milestone from being little girls to being young women. First date, first prom. Now she's watching her sister in a white dress kick off her shoes and dance and twirl on the dance floor, knowing that none of this was going to happen for her. Now, I don't care what anybody says. She was well loved. People would have done anything for her. But she knew, and I knew, and anybody who thought about it knew that she was never going to be desired. She never was going to have somebody call her up and say, I have to see you. You have to see you tonight. I can't stand it another day without seeing you. And she knew it, and I knew it, and I'm looking at her, and I'm thinking about that. Now, toward the end of this reception, the DJ plays a waltz. It's an Engelbert Humperdinck song. And from the corner of the room, here comes the groom, walking right past us. We're looking onto the dance floor, everybody, and he comes walking right past us toward her. No fangs, no horns, no blood dripping up. He was handsome. He was the best-looking guy in the place, tuxedoed, well-dressed, clean-shaven, like the king of the prom. And he walks over to her, and he puts his hands underneath her arms and lifts her out of the wheelchair and pulls her up like this and takes her on the dance floor and gives her her first and only and last dance in this world. And we were gobsmacked. We were gobsmacked. We knew that we were witnessing a miracle. And the thing about miracles is how you are affected by them depends on where you are seeing it from. And we were seeing it, all of us, from having been desired and loved and chased after in our life, at least to some degree. How she saw it is only she knew. But it was a very compelling moment. Now, he had his back to us and her head was like this, and she was just looking around, so all we could see was her head. And because her head was against his, it was straight. And because her chin was on his shoulder, her mouth wasn't open. And you just had to squint your eyes a little bit to just picture her as a normal 22-year-old girl with strong legs dancing with the most handsome man in the building. And we were just looking at it thinking, in our minds, and hopefully in her mind, she is at this moment the most beautiful woman in the world. Now, at that time at Frank's, everybody, myself included, to some degree, was guilty of being compulsive and reckless and impulsive really. See the money, take the money, don't think about it. There was not a lot of behavior, not a lot of thinking about the end results of your behavior, the ramifications. Now, in this building, there were a lot of people who would have thought, let's give this girl one dance in her life. She deserves that. But they thought about that and then did what people who function well in the world do. They thought about it and they thought, what if I hurt her? She's so fragile. What if I get her on the dance floor and she makes that sound she makes when she's unhappy? And they decide not to do it. So this woman, and now her legs didn't straighten out. She was only this big from top to bottom. And I just want to tell you, she didn't live another year. So the significance of this moment is only known to her, but it was big. And she was having this moment where she was the belle of the ball and the queen of the prom, only because there was someone reckless in the building. There was someone impulsive and reckless. Now, I'm not saying that it's good to be reckless and impulsive. It is not. If you love somebody who is impulsive and reckless, your life is chaos. You're constantly getting phone calls from police stations and car crashes and, this guy's going to kill me, I need $1,000. If you looked at a pie chart of all the decision-making that this fella had made, it would be bad, 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 horrible, bad, bad, horrible, bad, bad, and this one little sliver of a miracle, right? So it's not good. It's not a good way to be. If you love someone who has a life of chaos, it's crazy, And so if you asked Deborah and you asked me, do you want a life of chaos? We would both say no. We would not want that. But then we would add to that, the only thing we don't want more than a life of chaos is a life with no miracles in it. So I'm thinking about this. I'm watching this scene in front of me, and I'm thinking, if you live this kind of life, if you're this kind of person, you have these kind of traits where you have no thought about the ramifications of your behavior. If you love the people that you are with, your family, you have to deal with that. You have to kill that part of yourself or sedate it or bore it to death with therapy. But you have to deal with it or else you can't have a life, and the people that love you have this chaos life. So I thought, while I'm watching this, instead of killing this part of yourself, wouldn't it be good if you could just put it in jail? Just put it in jail and keep it in jail, and once in your life, open the jail cell up and say, look, I need a miracle today, and nobody that functions well in this world is going to be capable of doing it. I need somebody reckless. I need you to do this, but you have to come back after. You're not being freed to think of this as a work release program. And I'm just having this thought, thinking about this. So now it's toward the end of the reception, and the DJ plays a waltz. It's an Engelbert Humperdinck song. And from out of the corner of the room, here comes the groom, and he walks right past us, and no fangs, no blood. He was the best-looking guy in the place. And he walks over to her, the king of the prom, and he walks over and he puts her back down in the wheelchair, and he kisses her on the forehead. And while we watch, while the most beautiful woman in the world watches the man who was barred for life from the most dangerous and wild bar in Lynn, while she watches him disappear into the crowd, her head goes back over, her mouth opens up, and we are watching this and we are hearing this. I had the last waltz with you. Two lonely people together. I fell in love with you. The last waltz should last forever. Thank you.
We're going to wag our fishtails one last time.
and nothing to last. Americone baloney, Americone baloney, Americone baloney, Americone baloney. Big things to break down fast. Yeah, you raise a family game late.